I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Heavenly Father, the Most High God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of the Hebrew Israelites. His name is Yahweh, and I want to do so in the name of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, the Messiah, or the Anointed One, known as Jesus the Christ by the world. So the topic at hand is dealing with, as you've seen in the title, frankincense. Generally incense, but more particularly frankincense and myrrh, which frankincense and myrrh is a very beautiful combination, a very holy, a very sacred, set apart combination. And we're going to go through some scriptures talking about it. But this lesson is just a basic lesson to get the wheels spinning, for you to do your own research, to encourage for you to do your own research deeper and smaller and greater topics that I'll be presenting. This is an understanding I had gained from a brother, and I'm just going to go into some scriptures that I pulled out and go into it. So Psalms chapter 141, verse 2. Read from the King James. It says, let my prayer be set forth before thee as incense. So our prayer is being set forth before the Lord as being comparable, right? As a visual image, as you pray, think of your prayer going up as an incense, like the incense smoke is burning, right? And you can have a very powerful prayer. You can be a man of faith and great power, very righteous. That smoke is going to be powerful, right? Or if you have little faith, but you believe and such on, it could be a weak flame, a weak incense smoke. But the prayer is being compared to incense, or as incense, which incense really, when you look at it, is connected to prayer. That's why this comparison is being made. But we'll continue the verse. It says, "In the lifting up of my hands as the evening sacrifice." And that evening is a very important thing, the evening sacrifice, right? That's a very important thing to acknowledge, the evening sacrifice. That's a whole nother topic, dealing with sacrifices and, do we do that today? But the topic at hand, we're going to stick to, incense. And the type of incense you want to burn, more particularly, you want to burn pure resin incense straight from a tree. Pure, no artificial additives or fake, chemicals, and, stuff like that. Like the ones you get, like people get them mostly from, gas stations, corner stores, whatever you want to call it. It could be from a supermarket, an Arab store, African store, or any store of quote unquote spiritual significance. They sell incense. Incense are pretty common. The ones on the stick they usually sell, those are the cheap ones you want to stay away from. But you don't really know 100% what they add in it. And then on top of that, you're burning wood, which wood creates more of wood can burn, but the inhaling of it is not very conducive for you. And then, it's not pure because they're mixing it with stuff that you don't know what's on the stick. But the resin is pure, right? I'm going to a verse into that. Top, Exodus 30 and 9 in the King James. It says, "Ye shall offer no strange incense thereon, nor burnt sacrifice, nor meat offering, neither shall ye pour drink offering thereon." So for incense usually was very common within the temple, doing acts of worship toward the Most High God, Yahweh. And it had other properties. But you see this go hand in hand with burnt sacrifice and meat offerings. It's almost to the point where it looks like as though it's a sacrifice. Because it's like basically it went hand in hand. Like when they were doing offerings, like sacrifice offerings, incense were usually being burnt, right? And meat offerings and drink offerings, etc. And when people were gathered, the incense would be burning most of the time in these certain predicaments. But the strange incense I mean, it can be interpreted in different ways. One way that I believe it can apply, according to the knowledge I have with the scriptures, is that strange incense, that artificial, non-pure incense that is used, like whatever additives or chemicals they have in it that you're inhaling, like are those fake like it'll probably be 10% frankincense or 10% myrrh, and they added like some type of deodorizer and weird stuff. You need that pure one, right? Just like the word is pure. There's a sweet, savory smell when you burn incense. That cinnamon with the myrrh is very pure and holy. We're going to touch on Leviticus chapter 16, verse 12, in the King James. And it says, "And he shall take a censer full of burning coals of fire from off the altar before the Lord, and his hands full of sweet incense beaten, and bring it within the veil." Right? This is a sweet incense. The incense is sweet. And I forgot the particular verse, but I believe there's a verse that says like frankincense is basically like it's the Most High's favorite aroma. I can't find a particular verse in mine, but it's like his favorite aroma. It's a very sweet smell. It's a savory smell. And to go farther into that, like, because incense is a biblical thing. I'm just showing that it's biblical. It's in the scriptures, right? Particularly certain incense, not all incense, but certain things, right? Because this is not like people try to bring up the sage and all that different sort of pagan witchcraft stuff that is it's not according to the will of the Lord. Most High didn't tell us to burn sage and things like that. He wanted us to burn particular things that he has for a set, right? Whether you use it for relaxation or prayer. Which incense can be used for your prayer. It's a very powerful tool, if you ask me. We're going to get into why after, but I'm just showing, you shouldn't use strange incense. You should try to get pure incense from resin from the tree. Your incense is like a prayer when paired with prayer, and your prayer is described like incense. And you always see incense being used around holy congregations and holy events within the temple. It's a holy thing, right? It's a holy item. And then it's a sweet incense. It's a sweet smell. Who doesn't like a sweet smell? Like, smelling good is amazing, right? If it smells great, it can do a lot of things for your home, right? For your environment, wherever you're at. It can change the smell of things, right? Somebody smoking weed, you stink, you can just blot it right out with the incense, right? Different things like that. And you have Revelation chapter 8, verse 4 to 5 in the King James. It says, "And the smoke of the incense," right? The smoke of the incense, which came with the prayers of the saints, right? The saints are who? The Israelites. But this smoke the smoke of the incense came with prayers from the saints, which are the Israelites. And it ascended up before God out of the angel's hand. Right? Because the angels are the messengers of the Lord. They deliver the message or the prayer that we have to Yahweh. And Yahweh does as he fits with this prayer. Whether he answers it, he takes his time, he denies us. But you see prayer being coupled with the smoke of the incense. So all these things are kind of making a conclusion that you don't have to, but when you do pray, it is a great thing to pray with incense, more particularly frankincense and myrrh. It's a powerful thing that I'm seeing. Like, that's the conclusion and the similarities with different verses. Why not burn incense? It's being used in holy congregations. It's being used in the holy temple of the Lord. Right? So it smells great. Our prayers are being seen and compared to incense. The saints of the Lord in Revelation, their prayer is coupled with the incense, and it is sended up before God by the angel. Now, does this mean your prayer will not be heard if you don't burn incense? No. It's just something to, get you in the spirit, or get you excited, however you would like to say, to do prayer. But we're going to continue verse 5. And the angel took the censer and filled it with fire of the altar and cast it into the earth. Right, a censer is like a if you look it up, a censer is like a little, I want to say like a bowl almost, or something to hold the incense, because the incense, pure incense, you have to take a piece of coal and put it down and put the incense on top of it for it to burn. And it burns very slow. But continue the verse, and cast it into the earth, and there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. And the angel of the Lord took that censer with the incense, and he filled it with fire of the altar, and he threw it into the earth. And there were voices, thunderings, and lightnings and earthquakes. A lot of power was happening. But this is a point to touch before we go any farther. So Exodus chapter 30 and 7 and 8, before the previous verse I read, Exodus 30 and 9. So if you flip to it, this is just something to look at. Just something to think about. Verse 30, Exodus chapter 7, Exodus chapter 30, verse 7 to 8. That's the one right there in King James. And Aaron shall burn thereon sweet incense every morning. And when he dressed up the lamps, he shall burn incense upon it. Right, and Aaron, for context, he was a Levite, and he was burning, because this is mostly the Levites' job, or the priesthood, dealing with the Levites, with the Levitical covenant, they would burn the incense. He burned it every morning, right, once. And when Aaron lighteth the lamps at evening, he shall burn upon it a perpetual incense before the Lord throughout your generations. So, more particularly, I want to pay attention, he burnt another incense in the evening. Now, this is something to think about, right? Because if you read the scriptures, David prayed 3 times a day. That's what the scriptures and Psalms say. Pray morning, evening, and afternoon. So that's a good, you don't have to do it, but that's a good context to follow, praying 3 times a day. And your morning and evening prayer, it only enhances your prayer to burn frankincense and myrrh. It makes it even more, a spiritual thing per se. Not something that's needed, but something that is there. And why not burn it? Is the Most High God's favorite aroma. There's many factors on to burn it, reasons to burn it. To justify it. It's not an evil thing, burning incense or frankincense and myrrh. It's not an evil thing. It's not sage. You're not conjuring and summoning demons and summoning the dead. It's not supposed to be connected to that. If anything is being used in that way, that's pagan, and it's not of our culture. Right? This is the culture of the Israelites. This is their version of spirituality, the true spirituality of the Bible. Not false, pagan, New Age spirituality with all the nonsense that they do. But this is another thing to think about. Exodus 30, right, and chapter 30, verse 34 to 35. Before we get there, this is something to think about. A lot of brothers under the school of thought that frankincense and myrrh, since it's holy, demons or, evil angels, they can't be around things that are holy per se. Evil spirits, they cannot be around things that are holy. Whether a person, whether it's an Israelite or a heathen, or spirits in the spiritual realm you cannot see. If something is holy, they can't stand to be around something that's holy and set apart. So the brothers are under, a lot of brothers are under that school of thought that, these spirits will flee when you burn frankincense and myrrh. Just by you burning the frankincense and myrrh, being in your scripture or praying, these spirits will flee from the power, especially the power of the Lord Yahweh. You seen how Yahushua, when he came in the spirit in the name of the Father, you seen how the demon was trembling. If you didn't read through the gospel accounts. The legion was trembling in fear of Yahushua. Right? Being strong in your scriptures, being strong in the spirit, and being strong in the works of the Lord, which is the law, statutes, and commandments, and you being strong, overall, keeping the whole armor of God, that's going to make the demons fear you outside of incense. Incense, frankincense and myrrh is a good add-on. Why not, right? So the school of thought is that since this is holy, you burn it, these spirits will leave. I mean, me personally, I've seen things like this happen. I've seen spirits on people as soon as frankincense and myrrh burn, they're gone. Them spirits are gone. I'm telling you. I've seen it from personal account. And there's countless other brothers and sisters that have seen the same thing. I'm talking about brothers and sisters that are in the spirit of the Lord, keeping the commandments of Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, and they're burning the incense in that regard, right? So that's just something to kind of think about. It's a little interesting, but this is the, I'm going to get back to the verse. Proving that it's holy. If the Most High loves it, why wouldn't it be holy outside of this verse? But Exodus 30 and 34 and 35. It says, the Lord said unto Moses, take unto thee sweet spices, sakti, onika, and galbanum, these sweet spices with pure frankincense. Right, going back to that point, you need to have pure frankincense. Of each shall there be a weight. This is the key factor right here, 35. And thou shalt make it a perfume, a confession after the art of apothecary, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, temperate together. Right, so all these spices that were named, it says that it's tempered together, pure and holy. So it's pure and it's holy. It's the real deal, the real stuff, and it's holy, it's set apart. That's a verse kind of proving, that's one verse. There's countless verses dealing with the topic. This is a small topic, but there's countless verses dealing with this. So it's showing that it's a holy thing unto the Lord. In that context. And this is the last one to think about of the school of thought I was just speaking on. With the incense being a holy thing, and you burn it, and you got these spirits, these demons around you, whether it's on a person with anger, sadness, depression, death on them, or they schizophrenic. The different spirits and demons are the ones around you can't see. This is the understanding from Paul, I believe, in the Corinthians. And this is not particularly talking about this, but this could be applied in the context. Because Paul's writings are spiritual commentary. They're great. Some of them are great for teaching. Powerful, right? So it says 14. 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship have righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion have light with dark? So what communion does the light have with the dark? One has to give. And typically through my life experience, me being in the truth for as many years as I have, it's me just keeping these commandments and staying firm on the Most High God, Yahweh. I had a lot of demons flee out of my life. A lot of friends and family that are evil and they don't keep the law and the commandments of the Most High God and follow the Messiah, Yahushua Mashiach. Right? The Most High got them out of here. I ain't had it done. So it's like communion of dark and light can't really commune too long together. Something has to give. So with that, that's the understanding. I hope you was edified. And if I said anything was wrong, that's of the flesh. I try to be in the spirit of this understanding. And I say shalom. Shalom means peace unto you.